The following is a paid program for Prolong Super Lubricants. You're about to witness the greatest breakthrough in the history of lubrication. On the program today, see what happens when you pour 10 pounds of dirt, sand, and gravel in an open engine. What happens when racing legend Al Unser drives a $60,000 Viper in the desert at 90 miles per hour with no oil. Watch while this engine is put to the test as it attempts to set an undisputed world's record running 500 hours with no oil. This test driver is going to put this car through a real-world endurance test with no oil plug, and no oil filter. How far can they go? This engine is running at an unbelievable 6,000 RPM with no oil pan. What fantastic lubricant makes this possible? Stick around to hear the answers and to find out how, for the first time in the history of lubrication, your car can be protected in a way you never dreamed possible. And it's going to save you money, increase gas mileage, and prolong the life of your car.
Lives up to what they say it can do, and I have to, as they say, take my hat off to them, because I didn't think it would make it. I really didn't. You just can't run an engine, any engine, whether it's a Viper or what, and without oil in it.
Welcome to the Prolong World Challenge. On the show today, we have racing legend, four-time Indy 500 winner Al Unser, Indy 500 single-lap record holder Roberto Guerrero, nine-time Olympic gold medalist Mark Spitz, World Series MVP Steve Yeager, Mr. Motorcycle himself Nick Nichols, racing commentator Larry Huffman, hosted by Bob Eubanks.
Hi there, I'm Bob Eubanks, and welcome to the beautiful Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles, California. Now, the automobiles you see here have made history because of their design, beauty, or engine performance. That's why we've chosen an automobile environment to introduce a history-making lubricant. Prolong is here to set the record straight with some amazing proof to demonstrate why experts are saying Prolong has no equal in the world. In fact, Prolong is so superior to other lubricants, they're offering a $1 million world challenge. That's right, $1 million. Well, if seeing is believing, then let's get right down to it.
Thanks, Bob. We're here at Willow Springs International Raceway on the Mojave Desert. The track temperature, it's August, is 146 degrees.
It's so hot that even Gila monsters are carrying canteens.
Al, you're driving a $60,000 Viper, a V10. You're going to take it out there on the track and go with no oil whatsoever.
First, it's, not my car. If it was my car, I still wouldn't do it. And secondly, I don't think it'll make it a half a lap.
We have automobiles, trucks, and motorcycles representing almost every kind of vehicle manufacturer, including General Motors, Ford, Chrysler, European and Japanese makes, a pickup truck with over 100,000 miles, and Mr. Motorcycle himself, Nick Nichols, on his Harley-Davidson. These vehicles have been treated with a patented Prolong engine treatment and drained of all their engine oil. The oil plugs will be held by the Automobile Club's former chief automotive engineer, Louis J. Bentz, who will certify this extreme test of the Prolong engine treatment.
They've taken the drain plug out of the car. Have you ever seen anything like this before?
No, and I'm not think it's such a great idea. Without any oil in these cars, I think some of them are going to freeze.
And also with the heat, it's tremendously hot out there. That's got to be a factor too.
Oh, very definitely.
The heat's going to start building up, there's friction, and there's no oil in this car's crankcase whatsoever, but just Prolong. It can be very interesting.
Oh, I just saw him drain the oil from my vehicle, and I really have my doubts. Will this car go out there with the inclines and downhills and the curves and not overheat and just freeze up?
Here we go. All right, gentlemen, start your engines. Can you see the oil pressure gauge? It's on zero. It's not moving at all. This has got to be a first in your career, starting a race with no oil.
That it is. I've never seen a gauge like that not move. And
yeah.
I know a while ago when I drove this car, the gauge was moving.
It's got to be a funny feeling.
Yes, it does.
On the count of three. 1, 2, 3.
The Prolong World Challenge metal-to-metal duel in the desert is underway. These cars are being tested to their limits. Remember, they have no oil whatsoever. Will heat and friction take its toll on the Viper? Will Prolong make the difference? Stay tuned and we'll see what happens.
Now, let's go to Bob Eubanks at the world-renowned J.E. Pistons in Huntington Beach, California, where they build pistons for high-performance engines that win many of today's top auto races. He's there with Prolong's president, Elton Alderman, and the automotive professionals of J.E. Pistons, who will witness the world challenge as Prolong is compared to other well-known lubricants. Elton's using a torque bar on a friction test machine to apply tremendous pressure on a static bearing against a spinning race. Pressure is added until the test lubricant fails, damaging the bearing and seizing the motor. You may have seen other companies demonstrate their product using a fish scale, but professionals use a torque wrench to apply extreme pressure to accurately measure the shock load engines experience on startup. First, Pennzoil was tested. Look at the bearing up close as certified by a licensed professional engineer, and you can see the severe damage. Next, look at the wear with Castrol Syntec, a leading synthetic oil, tested under the same load. Then Slick 50 engine treatment was tested. They all ended up with severe damage. We even tested Bitron engine treatment, Lubricator 2001, and Motor Up, and they too failed. Now, let's test the Prolong engine treatment. Watch as the torque wrench applies the maximum shock load of over 200,000 pounds per square inch at point-to-point contact. Look how far the bar is bending as it goes past the end of the scale, while the motor continues to run with no strain, as shown by the amp meter. After all this tremendous abuse, you can see that the other lubricants don't even come close to comparing. Indisputable proof that Prolong has no equal in the world.
If I wasn't seeing it, I wouldn't believe it. You know, you can hear people telling you, I said, yeah, but I mean, seeing it, it's really is quite amazing, and it's unbelievable.
We currently are using the product in all of our used cars. We felt it would be safer to put Prolong in the vehicles at the time we smog and safety the vehicle and cut down on our possible losses.
Because we use the same adjectives for products that just simply don't work. This product does. Once the product is into the motor and found the friction points and taking care of those friction points, that same engine made 8 more horsepower.
I use synthetic oil in the rear end of the transmission with the Prolong additive, and boy, I tell you, it's best thing since printing money.
I've also seen this product on television. Let me ask you a question. I mean, a lot of engines heat up. What happens to these additives when your engine heats up, say, like to 300 degrees?
Well, I'll tell you, Bob, what happens. This product, this one I'd like to show you, that was heated up to just over 300 degrees in less than a minute.
Now, this is a popular oil additive?
Absolutely. As you can see, it's just solid tar. This is a leading product, has PTFE resins in it, like a Teflon powder that was heated in the same type of test.
So they actually put Teflon into oil additives?
Absolutely. It's a solid particle. Also, Bob, here's Prolong, put through the same type of a test.
Heated again?
Absolutely. Which one would you like to have in your motor?
Audience, what do you think? I mean, you know, it's Prolong.
Your car engine runs at extremely high temperatures, so we wanted to show what happens to engine treatments under these conditions. Look at this product when it's heated up. It becomes unstable, starts smoking, and turns black at around 325 degrees. Then we put Prolong with its patented anti-corrosive formula to the same test. Even when heated much higher, it still remained stable. We coated a test bearing with a well-known engine treatment that was heated and left for a short period of time. Look at the corrosion on the bearing just from the fumes, and look at the bottom where it was actually submerged. When Prolong is put to the same test, look at the difference with its anti-corrosion formula. The high temperatures in your engine can cause lubricants to break down and become corrosive, but Prolong's patented formula fights corrosion and extends the life of your car, which saves you money. Now, let's see how the cars are doing as we return to the metal-to-metal duel in the desert with Al Unser, Mark Spitz, Steve Yeager, and Larry Huffman.
Our oil light's never blinked. It's always been on red. Hey, I tell you what, this big car is handling very nicely. I'm definitely gassing this thing around a heck of a lot harder than if it was just normal driving. I mean, just trying to stay up with you guys and Al.
Well, you can hear it for yourself from the radios they have in the cars, and I think Steve Yeager pretty well tells the story with this comment.
Just like it never ready, still going.
Bob, it's unbelievable. They're still running. Al Unser and the Red Viper out in front. The temperature's still hovering just under 150 degrees, and the test continues.
As if 7 cars and a motorcycle at Willow Springs aren't enough, we put Sandra Bartley, 20-year test and race car driver, through a real-world endurance drive with no oil plug, and no oil filter to see how far the car could go. Sandra, being a skeptic, wanted to make sure that there really was no filter, so she got under the car to check for herself. Then, she and her friend Linda were off from the Peterson Museum on a hot summer day. Not just to drive the freeway where you can cruise, but to put the car through the same conditions we all drive every day. Stop-and-go city traffic. and of all places, in Southern California. She went through Beverly Hills, up Rodeo Drive, down the Avenue of the Stars in West LA, and around Westwood.
Look at this, Linda. We've been driving about an hour and 10 minutes right now. We've been going uphill and downhill. Normally, that would be a real big load on the engine.
At 2 hours out, we left LA heading north on Pacific Coast Highway and decided to take a mountain climb to really torture the engine. And still no problems. When we come back, we'll see how much farther the car can go with plenty of gas but no oil.
Started 17th in a race. We were coming through the field. About the 12th or 13th lap, we exploded a radiator hose. It immediately pumped all the water out of the car. At that point, we were running so well, I figured, well, engine needs rebuilding, keep running. Let's see what happens. If it blows up, it blows up. We were running Prolong in the motor. Car ran 30 laps. We finished the race. It was still in one piece. Took it to the engine builder Monday. My engine builder's been building engines for over 30 years. He calls and he asked me what kind of oil we were running. I tell him. He says, well, no, he says, that oil wouldn't do this. He says, what else were you running? So I told him we were running Prolong. And he says, whatever it is, he said, it just saved you over $6,000.
I ran 30 miles with no oil pressure, with the oil lights staring me directly in the eye, and the car kept going. Last 10 years, I have never won a race. Now starting using Prolong 2 years later, I'm winning races now.
If he's going to work on the race car, he's going to work on the road car, 100 times better. So it really is amazing.
Coming up, the grand finale of the Duel in the Desert with Al Unser, Sandra Bartley's real-world endurance drive, Prolong's undisputed world record at 500 hours with no oil, 10 pounds of dirt, sand, and gravel in an open engine with no oil and no water, plus the $1 million world challenge. Stay tuned. Today's motor oils are better than ever, but they have their limitations. Friction causes heat, which leads to engine wear, poor performance, lower gas mileage, and even engine breakdown. Prolong engine treatment turns any motor oil into a super lubricant. Prolong is specially formulated to bond to the metal, creating a low friction surface, 1 molecule thick, that lubricates your engine on startup, whether it's 20 below in freezing cold or 100 plus in scorching heat. This means you prolong engine life, improve performance, and increase gas mileage, which saves you money. Prolong is the only patented product of its kind in the world, not just patent pending as claimed by other companies. It's actually been awarded patents both nationally and internationally, which means no one else in the world but Prolong has the super lubricant formula. Other products make claims, but under only moderate load, the bearing damage is undeniable with engine treatments such as Slick 50, STP, Tribotech, X1R, and Lubricator 2001. But even under enormous shock load with Prolong, you can hardly see a mark, which proves beyond a shadow of a doubt Prolong has no equal in the world.
I've used everything in the world trying to just get that little extra out of that engine. And with Prolong, immediately I noticed that I had to change the RPMs on my idles, which means, to me as a mechanic, means that there's not as much friction in that thing. Just with the oil, I noticed about an 18% increase in my fuel efficiency.
All these motor oils fail at around 5 to 12 foot-pounds on the friction machine. But look what happens when Prolong is added. It turns them all into super lubricants, sending them completely off the scale. So no matter what motor oil you use in your car, when Prolong is added, it simply becomes a super lubricant that creates the low friction surface you need for the ultimate in protection and performance. This means you prolong engine life, increase gas mileage, and have a smoother running engine with less breakdowns, which saves you money. Prolong has been tested and proven around the world for years in heavy industry, commercial, and automotive applications. It contains no solid particles and is compatible with other oils and lubricants, including synthetics. Now, Prolong is available to the general public in a complete car care kit.
This is very impressive, and I have not seen anything that is this good.
The fact is that in comparison to the leading brands that we're aware of that we see on TV or household names that we've become familiar with over the last 20 years, I mean, it just beat it hands down.
Whatever it costs, it's certainly worthwhile to put it to protect. Like we said earlier, it's a life insurance policy that comes in a container.
Now you can have the Prolong engine treatment plus the Prolong transmission treatment, which gives you smoother shifts and extends the life of your transmission.
This transmission was probably due for some serious service, like being rebuilt, and I decided, well, I'll put it off, and I just prolonged it, and and it held in there for, like I say, another 40 to 50,000 miles.
You also get the Prolong fuel system treatment, which cleans your fuel system and treats the top part of your engine to improve gas mileage and increase performance.
It went up by 10 miles a gallon easily. Wow. Yes, it is wow. I mean, I'm happy. I'm happy.
You get the engine, transmission, and fuel system treatments. Order now. Prolong the life of your car with Prolong Super Lubricants, no equal in the world. Can Prolong actually set an undisputed world's record by running an engine 500 hours with no oil while being revved over 4,000 RPM? Watch the crowd's reaction and the hour meter on the engine.
We have a motor that has just gone over 500 hours running without oil in it. And the only protection it's enjoyed during that period is, in fact, the Prolong.
Now, from the extraordinary to the amazing, Sandra Bartley has gone an unbelievable 4 hours and 40 minutes with no oil filter, or oil plug. She's been in stop-and-go city traffic on a hot summer day in Southern California. Freeway driving above 60 miles per hour, as well as steep hills, which really put a strain on the engine. Let's see what happened that finally stopped the car.
Well, we stopped to eat. We were hungry. You know, we needed some sustenance. But it was great. It was relaxed. It was great. We had the air conditioning running about 90% of the time. We went up through a lot of high inclines and down, a lot of altitude changes, and a lot of city traffic. That's why it took over 4 hours to get from Los Angeles to Santa Barbara. It was fabulous.
I'm completely amazed, and I can't believe that I got into a car without oil and trusted all these people and drove to Santa Barbara, and I don't think that any woman should ever leave her house without being protected by Prolong Super Lubricant.
Now we're going back to J.E. Pistons, where Elton has drained the oil out of a Chrysler V8 engine, and you can see it's empty by the window installed in the oil pan. He had the valve covers removed, and now he's going to do something you have to see to believe. All these demonstrations show you that Prolong can protect your engine even under extreme conditions.
Now we're going to put it through the test really even worse. We're going to pour some sand in here and pour it across the top of that.
I mean, this is one of these tests that's never been done before. I mean, they're actually pouring sand inside this engine.
Absolutely.
And the engine is running just as smooth as it was a moment ago when it had oil in it.
Mike, go ahead and pour some more in it.
He wants you to pour some more in it, Mike.
More?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, pour some more in it.
Let's put it to the real test.
We'll leave it rivet up more.
Isn't that incredible?
And now, on top of that, we're going to do something different. And we're going to cut the water hose.
So, no oil.
No oil.
No water.
No water.
And sand in the engine.
Sand in the engine.
And still Prolong.
Absolutely.
Keeps it running.
Right.
Am I going to get hurt?
Step back a little bit, Bob.
I'll step back more than a little bit.
Yeah.
Look at that. Isn't that amazing? And you know what? This engine is running just as smooth as it did a minute ago. Yeah, Elton, go ahead, rev it up. Yeah.
I can't get to it, guys.
I don't believe it. Okay, Elton, now the engine was treated with Prolong prior to all these tests. You're going to rev it up now. Okay, go ahead. I mean, look out, fellas. Isn't this amazing?
That's incredible. Look at that.
Hey.
It should have blown up a long time ago.
And what I'm fascinated by, it's still running just as smooth as it was when they first started. I mean, it's not only running, but it's running smoothly. That I think is probably the ultimate test of all times, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to a product. I mean, here what we've done is we've taken all of the oil out, all of the water out. It's been treated with Prolong. They poured sand on the engine, and it's still running as if it were a brand new engine. What an incredible, incredible display of a product that just can't be beat. You will never, ever see another demonstration like that with any kind of product. Congratulations to you, my friend. You did a great job.
If any of you are wondering what happened to the engine, here's the oil pan later when they took it off. Look at the sand and water.
Holy man! Whoa!
Now watch this. They left it off and with no oil pan held the engine at 6,000 RPMs. You can see the bare crankshaft at the bottom of the engine. If any of you are still wondering how well Prolong protects an engine, here is proof that you can see with your own eyes.
Remember I told you earlier in the show about the Prolong $1 million challenge? Well, here it is. If any oil company in the world accepts the Prolong challenge and proves through identical tests that it makes a better engine treatment than Prolong without infringing on the Prolong patents, then the Prolong Super Lubricant Company will write a check for $1 million to the charity of their choice. That's how confident we are in this marvelous product. It is our $1 million challenge. We know that what we have is truly the best. It's Prolong. There's no equal in the world.
Coming up, the grand finale of the Prolong World Challenge with Al Unser. Whether your car is old or new, the sooner you add Prolong, the better. Because up to 70% of friction and wear occurs at startup, before your engine is coated with motor oil. Friction causes heat, which leads to engine wear, poor performance, lower gas mileage, and even engine breakdown.
Starting a car first thing in the morning, because there's no oil protecting that motor. None. There's no friction protection at all. Now what you get, and most people don't understand, is that's where you get the wear and tear on rings and pistons. And over a period of years, that's what wears out motors, and that's why you have to have them re-ringed and revalved and everything else.
What about this?
I think you've got something that's going to protect that. I definitely think you do.
Prolong engine treatment with its patented formula makes regular motor oil perform like a super lubricant. Today's motor oils are better than ever, but they do have their limitations. Prolong creates a low friction surface by bonding to the metal, providing constant protection and instant lubrication on startup. This means you prolong engine life, improve performance, and increase gas mileage, which saves you money.
Even in a gearbox, you can do your own test. Change the oil, put oil in, run the thing for a while. Put your hand on it. Hot. Put some Prolong in. Run it for the same interval of time again. Put your hand on it. Not as hot. There's an easy test for anybody to try.
Now, Prolong is available to the general public in a complete car care kit. Follow your manufacturer's service recommendations, but always insist on Prolong to give your car the extra protection it needs. Treating your car with Prolong is simple. Just pour it in, and it starts working immediately. You get the engine, transmission, and fuel system treatments. Prolong the life of your car with Prolong Super Lubricants. No equal in the world. All right, let's go back to Willow Springs International Raceway where they have the checkered flag and should be coming in.
Al Unser got the checkered flag. He was supposed to pull in, pulled into the pits and suddenly floorboarded it and took it out again, and he's on a very fast lap right now. I don't really know what Al's trying to do. Al Unser, you took another lap. You were supposed to pull in. What's the story?
I just didn't believe that it would make it, and I just had to try it one more lap. I said, it can't make it, and the thing's still running good. The oil light never went off or the gauge ever moved.
How fast were you going the final lap?
Well, back in the back there, I ran at almost 90 miles an hour.
With no oil?
With no oil in it. I can't believe it.
Unbelievable.
Yes, it is. It really did it, too.
We've run many tests on many products in the hundreds, and none of them ever really worked. None of the oil additives we tested. This is the first one I've ever seen that really seems to meet what it claims.
I was saying, I'm driving this car a lot harder than if I was just city driving or freeway driving. I mean, I was upshifting and downshifting with the automatic transmission. I was putting it through a lot of strain. I would have never dreamt of going in an automobile that long without any oil.
Never ran better. Really? Unbelievable. Really? If I'd have got these guys out of my way, I was going to run Answer down. But he told me yesterday, if you fall down, don't let me run over you. And I wasn't worried about that. I was cooking it up pretty good, too. And if they would have turned me out of here this afternoon, I think I went back to Texas.
How fast were you going?
I was running 85 and 90.
With no oil?
With no oil. You just put a Prolong sticker over the oil light and kept going. Just so it don't bother you.
The conditions we ran today, would you try Prolong Super Lubricants in your own car?
Well, oil change is right over there. Let's go put it in it right now. Let's go. We drained these. We can drain that one. No big deal. It's higher. You don't even have to put a lift underneath it.
Willing to drain yours?
Sure.
You got a wrench?
Yep.
Okay, let's go do it.
All right.
That's a believer. No problems. The thing still runs good right now. it's hard to believe. It's incredible.
It is incredible. Prolong Super Lubricants. I guess it lives up to the name.
Yes, it does. I'm really surprised. Now, I mean that.
Today's motor oils are better than ever, but they have their limitations. Friction causes heat, which leads to engine wear, poor performance, lower gas mileage, and even engine breakdown. Prolong engine treatment turns any motor oil into a super lubricant. Prolong is specially formulated to bond to the metal, creating a low friction surface, 1 molecule thick, that lubricates your engine on startup, whether it's 20 below in freezing cold or 100 plus in scorching heat. This means you prolong engine life, improve performance, and increase gas mileage, which saves you money. Prolong is the only patented product of its kind in the world, not just patent pending as claimed by other companies. It's actually been awarded patents both nationally and internationally, which means no one else in the world but Prolong has the super lubricant formula. Other products make claims, but under only moderate load, the bearing damage is undeniable with engine treatments such as Slick 50, STP, Tribotech, X1R, and Lubricator 2001. But even under enormous shock load with Prolong, you can hardly see a mark, which proves beyond a shadow of a doubt Prolong has no equal in the world.
I've used everything in the world trying to just get that little extra out of that engine. And with Prolong, immediately I noticed that I had to change the RPMs on my idlers, which means to me as a mechanic, means that there's not as much friction in that thing. Just with the oil, I noticed about an 18% increase in my fuel efficiency.
All these motor oils fail at around 5 to 12 foot-pounds on the friction machine. But look what happens when Prolong is added. It turns them all into super lubricants, sending them completely off the scale. So no matter what motor oil you use in your car, when Prolong is added, it simply becomes a super lubricant that creates the low friction surface you need for the ultimate in protection and performance. This means you prolong engine life, increase gas mileage, and have a smoother running engine with less breakdowns, which saves you money. Prolong has been tested and proven around the world for years in heavy industry, commercial, and automotive applications. It contains no solid particles and is compatible with other oils and lubricants, including synthetics. Now, Prolong is available to the general public in a complete car care kit.
This is very impressive, and I have not seen anything that is this good.
The fact is that in comparison to the leading brands that we're aware of that we see on TV or household names that we've become familiar with over the last 20 years, I mean, it just beat it hands down.
Whatever it costs, it's certainly worthwhile to put it to protect. Like we said earlier, it's a life insurance policy that comes in a container.
Now you can have the Prolong engine treatment plus the Prolong transmission treatment, which gives you smoother shifts and extends the life of your transmission.
This transmission was probably due for some serious service, like being rebuilt, and I decided, well, I'll put it off, and I just prolonged it, and and it held in there for, like I say, another 40 to 50,000 miles.
You also get the Prolong fuel system treatment, which cleans your fuel system and treats the top part of your engine to improve gas mileage and increase performance.
It went up by 10 miles a gallon easily.
Wow.
Yes, it is wow. I mean, I'm happy. I'm happy.
You get the engine, transmission, and fuel system treatments. Order now. Prolong the life of your car with Prolong Super Lubricants. No equal in the world.